Hi there folks and welcome back to the channel. It is new season time and as you can see after work we've got sun through the blinds. It is 2 degrees and there's a 50-mile-an-hour wind out there, but we're slowly getting there. As the new season comes on, I'm actually going to focus on fly patterns for specific hatches, and the first two hatches you're going to get are March Browns and large dark olives, but as everywhere doesn't get March Browns, I'm going to cover large dark olives. So, as the name suggests, it's a large olive. We're looking at size 12s and 14s mainly, but a few 16s in the box doesn't hurt, especially in glassy water. You get the odd fussy fish. But in general, at this time of year, we're looking at high water levels as we come out of winter. So it's important that the pattern floats well. I want a big, bold fly that, as fish are coming out of the winter slumber, and hatches can still be short this time of year, the fish can see them and focus on your fly as it goes over them. So there's a few different variations. This is a pattern I'll be using this season and I've already had good success on. So into the vise I'm slapping a size 14 ultimate dry up by Fully Mill, and onto it I'm using the 70 Denier olive thread. It's important to use olive coloured thread as it will show through in the final fly. So I'm going to secure that down and cut the tag end off roughly as far down the flat part of the shank as I can. I don't want to go round onto the bend. So once I've set that position, I'm going to come in with the tail material, which is the ever faithful cocktail yarn. This is a big and bold pattern early season, so I want a good amount of fibres. I'm looking at probably about 10 fibres actually, but I just grab a pinch, yank those off and secure them in at least the length of the hook. So there's a habit these days that people don't really tie tails long enough, so I'm going to go at least the length of the hook before securing that down, all the way up to create a taper for the body after. Once I've trimmed that off, secure the ends, and I'm going to come back down, and a handy little trick is lift the tail up and just do a couple thread wraps underneath. This helps to prop the wing up, prop the tail up and splay the fibres. And then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to come all the way back up and get ready to set the wing. I want to be about an eye and a half width back. Make sure you leave enough room at the eye, otherwise you can have all sorts of problems later on. So just trim that little foot end off. So yeah, at least an eye and a little bit behind, because I'm going to come in with this LK. It's fantastic stuff. You can use deer hair, but I prefer LK. It's a little bit more buoyant. I can use less of it, especially if you use good quality stuff like this Compara Cow Elk by Nature Spirit. So I'm going to put that in the deer stacker, cut out any underfur and brush it out. And once the tips are lined up like so, I'll pull them out with the tips facing forward, ready to tie onto the top of the hook. I'm pinching fairly tight here, measuring it the length of the hook, and you want to come in with 3 thread wraps on top before pulling tight. Pull up and make sure that all those fibres are on top of the hook as best you can before a few thread wraps at the front just to prop the wing up. And if you do this right, you should have your wing position pretty much set here. Although it can be a little finicky to make sure it's secured, so come back, wrap down now onto those butt ends, make sure it's all secured. When you're ready to cut them off, come in with some sharp scissors, take your time here, but always cut backwards towards the tail and with the points of the scissors pointing towards the metal of the hook. By doing this, it's easy to create a nice taper into the body as you secure the butt ends down. Nice and carefully, it's really important to get this taper nice. Come in between the wing if you have to, gets a little bit fussy. Sharp scissors make all the difference here. And lift the thread up if you trim underneath, or rotate the vise, because I can assure you, if you cut that thread, that bobbin holder falls to the deck. So now once we've got that sorted, cover all the butt ends up and go back and forth, creating a nice tapered body. It's the odd fibre that's still stray, so we just come in with the scissors and nip those off. prop the wing up at this point and make sure you're happy with how it's sitting. Make sure that you've got enough wing, nice and splayed out there, all on top of the hook, just how I need it to be. So I'm going to come all the way back down now and prepare right at the tip of the tail here to tie in the body material, which is this lovely olive coloured goose bite. Now I've used quite a few of these already, so I'm getting down the stem, and as you go down the stem they get thicker a lot quicker as you wrap them, so it's important that you tie right in at the tip here, like so, and come back up to the top of the wing where I'm going to finish the body. And they can be a little bit fussy, so I'm going to come in with a pair of hackle pliers, clip those on there, and just slowly start wrapping with touching turns. You may have to twist the hackle pliers in your hand to get the bite to lay flat. They can be a little bit awkward here and a little bit stiff. But as you can see, it's getting quite thick quite quickly. It doesn't start to look as uniform, but this is okay at this point because you're going to cover this in thorax dubbing and hide all of this. So just secure it down 3 or 4 turns. Once you're happy with that, we'll trim the bite off close as we can. And that's the body complete. Now, there's loads of different materials you can use for a thorax. You could use hare's ear, you could use kapok or other synthetics. You can use what you like, but for me, I like a nice CDC dubbing. Natural, light natural, maybe even a dyed light grey. For me, I'm going to use a nice light natural here, which is just the perfect colour. So I'm going to cut off the stems, as I've done earlier here, and put them all into a pot, so I've just got the fluffy bits. Make sure you've got a really good amount of wax onto your thread. It can be a little bit awkward to get a dubbing noodle started, but make sure you've got a nice good amount coated on, ready to go. The thorax technique is really important on this fly. I can start off with a generous amount and quite a loose noodle, and these first 2 or 3 turns are going to go just behind the back of the wing like so. But now I'm just going to tighten that noodle up. I'm going to put a little bit more on so I can come all the way through in one go. But I'm actually going to separate the wing out and put 2 or 3 turns in between the wing. This does a few things really. It adds more buoyancy with some CDC deep into the wing, and it also helps to splay the wing, which also helps with buoyancy, and it gives it a little bit of a better profile. Just going to get the thread back in front of the eye, and we're pretty much finished with the fly there. I like the wing just to prop forward nicely like so. So once I'm happy, instead of varnishing this time, I'm going to use a little bit of wax. CDC is really absorbent and it can suck in varnish if you use some sort of head cement at the head. So a little bit of time wax is plenty here, and I've never had one come undone. I'm going to finish that off. And now I'm going to take a little bit of time just to mess around with the fly. Just trim that off. So I'm going to make sure the wind sits slightly forward. I'm going to use my finger just to tap the ends here and just bend them over. It creates a much more natural look for me, and it helps that wing again to sort of splay out 180 degrees, which is what we're looking for. Grab a little comb and brush out that thorax, but as I brush it out, I'm pulling it up into the wing. I don't want too many fibres hanging down. They'll just break the surface film, absorb water, and waterlog the fly. So I'm going to brush those up into the wing, taking my time here. It's important that when you finish your fly off that you're happy with it, that you're happy that you'd pull it out of the box when you need it, and it's just as you need it to be, ready to go on the water. I'm going to bend those tips over again a little bit more to make it a little more rough and ready. But it's super high float, and I've got so much high confidence in this pattern. When you've got LDO feeders early season, this just gets the job done. Yep, I'm happy with that. I'll show you the front and back profiles. Beautifully splayed out wing. Go out there folks, give this one a try, and let me know if you catch any fish on it. Thanks for watching, as always.